Hi guys, and welcome to The Sims Tonight. My name's Nigel, and tonight I'm going to be showing you how to do a simple t-shirt mod using The Sims 4 Studio. The Sims 4 Studio is quite a simple program to use, and I will show you exactly where to get it now. So if you just go to thesims4studio.com and just click on this link here, download Sims 4 Studio Open Beta version Love. And then in there. And then just click on either the installer or the zip file, whichever you prefer. I prefer the installer because it's quite easy and it does it all itself. Once you've installed Sims 4 Studio and opened it, you'll be presented with a screen that looks like this. Now, down here in the bottom right hand side, you put the creator name. Now, I also go by the name of HawkBS, and some of you may know me who've played games like 18 Wheels of Steel Hauling. I designed the Dalton Highway, and also from X3 Reunion I put the Battlestar Galactica mod together. So just enter whatever name you wish to put in there. Okay, so we're going to do a t-shirt. So that's CAS, create a sim, and we want to create a standalone shirt. So we're going to click that and let it load. Okay, once it's loaded all the objects, choose your gender. For this purpose I'm going to do male. And I'm going to choose adult, and then I'm going to choose the part type. So it's a t-shirt, so it's going to be a clothing top, and then we're just presented with every single top in the game. So I'm going to scroll down now until I find the correct t-shirt. No. There we go, that's the one I want. I want this black one here. So just click next, and I'm going to make a folder. I always keep my mods in folders that I'm working on. And I'm just going to call it new t-shirt. You can call it whatever you want. And you need to give it a name for the package file. So for this particular t-shirt, I'm actually going to do a Star Wars t-shirt. So I'm going to call it HawkBS _ SW _ t-shirt. Just hit enter, and there we go. We've got the black t-shirt in, and it's loaded onto a sim. You can move it around, just spin them around, whatever. But at the moment it's just a standard black t-shirt. So how do we get our graphic onto the t-shirt? Well, it's quite simple. Over here we've got the texture. So I'm just going to click on export, and it's opened up into this new folder that I just created called new t-shirt. And again, we need to give the file name something, so I'm just going to call it 1 for any purpose whatsoever, and I'm just going to hit save. Right, once that's exported, it automatically opens up in that folder. So just double click on it to open it up in whatever graphics program you're using. Myself, I prefer Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, There's also GIMP available, but I think you might need to get hold of the NVIDIA DDS plugins or whatever they use. Again, with Photoshop, you also need the NVIDIA DDS plugins, which is just a simple Google search for those. So here we have our t-shirts palette, or whatever you want to call it. And this here is the front on the left, and on the right is the back. So I want to put the logo basically in the center here. Now I've already got my graphic here, but as you can see, this is on a white background and the shirt is of course black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Magic Wand tool, and I've got my tolerance set to 25, and then I'm just going to click in the white area. Okay, now that's selected all the white there, but I don't want the white, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the inverse. Now you can either go up to the top menu and select and then inverse, or you can just hit Shift Control I to select the inverse. Okay, so there's a couple of things I need to do here. I need to deselect some of the white that's actually inside there, and I also need to select the lightsaber part on the outside because that has not been selected. So I'm going to zoom in. Now to zoom in without using the magnifying glass, which is down here, I can just hit Control plus on my keyboard. And to move around, I just hold down my spacebar, which brings up this little hand icon, and I can move around just like that. So how do we deselect the pieces we want? Right. So now I'm going to click on the selection tool here, and I'm going to click this little icon here which says subtract from selection. So let's pick this part here first. So there. Actually, no, sorry, I should use the Polygonal Lasso tool. So I'm just going to go click there and there. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll do for the purposes of this little tutorial. And there, it's joined together, and I'm going to fix that little bit up there because that's going to annoy me otherwise. Okay, the selection tool didn't select everything I wanted, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to the selection. I'm going to just click up in the corner here, and I'm going to just go around here and select everything here. There we go, so that's got all that in. And this little bit here, there we go, that's that bit done. Now I'm just going to move up and select this lightsaber. So looking up, there we go. I'll come down just a little bit just to make sure I've got it. And there we go, that's the lightsaber mostly selected. So again, I need to do some deselecting. So I click back on this little tool here, and I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to deselect this little bit in here. Every image is going to be different. No matter what you're working on, everything is going to be different, and it's a painful process. Well, not a painful process, but it can be a time-consuming process. But it's rewarding to see your work in a game when you've completed it, and if you upload it to places like Mod The Sims or TSR or whatever, and just watching the amount of people downloading it, that in itself is rewarding as well. Okay, so that's that bit done. Let's get all these little bits here done. Anything else? Yep. I've got to reselect something up the top here because it didn't get everything. So you're just basically going around and you're doing some checking just to make sure everything that you want is selected or deselected, and if you make a mistake like that, you just hit backspace to release it. So there we go. So I'm just going to do this one roughly. So again, hold down the gutter legs, everything's done there. So I'm just going to hit Control minus, zoom out, and that's what I want. So now I just want to copy that, so I'm going to hit Control C on my keyboard, or if you're on a Mac it's Command C to copy. And I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to hit Control V to paste. That's V for Victor. Right. Again on the Mac that's Command V. Now, as you can see, our image is a little big, so it's pasted it onto a new layer. So the bottom part, the original t-shirt, isn't going to be affected if we resize it. So I'm going to go and resize this now. So I'm going to hit Edit, Transform, Scale. Now, at the moment, my image is too big to actually fit on the screen because I'm zoomed in. So I'm going to zoom out again. So again, Control minus to zoom out, and there we go. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to grab one of the corners. I'm just going to resize it to about there for now. Let go of the Shift key, and I'm going to move it down. Holding down the Shift key keeps it all uniform without distorting it. So I'm going to zoom in again, move over, and I want to make sure the shirt is centered. Now, a good guide is generally this thing here, this little bit here sticking in the middle. So I'm going to move it up to about there, and then using my arrow keys I'm going to move it down, so then I know it's centered. And I think there's probably good, and I think the size is actually probably good as well. If not, we can always correct it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this little move tool thing here, and it says, do you want to apply the transformation? I'm going to click Apply. Right, so I'm quite happy with that at the moment. I don't need to do anything with the alpha layers because they're already in, and I'm not making any transparencies or anything like that. I'm just adding something onto the image here that doesn't need it changing whatsoever. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to do a file, and I'm going to do Save As. And I'm going to drop down the box here, and I'm going to choose D3D DDS, and I'm just going to let it overwrite the original file as 1, and I hit click Save. Yes, I want to replace it. Now this is important, it has to be saved as a DXT5 with generate bitmaps. So select those, make sure those are selected, and click Save. Once that's done, go back to the Sims 4 Studio, and I'm going to click on Import, and as you notice it goes straight into the directory the same as before. So I'm going to click the 1, and I'm going to click Open. Let it load, and there we go. There's our shirt on our little hairless sim there. And it does look a little bit too big, just a little bit too big. So the reason I didn't merge down the layers or anything before was simply to fix that. So I'm going back into Photoshop, and I'm going to go Edit, Transform, Scale, and I'm just going to resize it down just a little bit more. and then I'm just going to move it over using the arrow keys, and that should be about right now, I think. So again, I'm going to hit the little button up there, apply the transformation. I do File, Save As, again select DDS and let it overwrite. Save. And then switch back to the Sims 4 Studio, and I'm going to import it again. Let it load up. And there we go. I'm much happier with that. And then I'm just going to click Save. Package has been saved. Now, if for some reason you aren't happy with it as it turns out in the game itself, what I suggest to do is do File, go back in Photoshop or whatever your program is, Save As, and I'm just going to save it as a PSD. And there I've got a backup of it. So if I need to open it again, I'll just go Open Recent, bump, and there we go, and it's saved the layers. So it's as simple as that. I'm going to close down Photoshop now, and I'm going to close down this, and I'm going to load it up in game and show you what it looks like in game. First thing I need to do though is I need to copy the shirt I just made, the package file I just made, to my mods directory. So I'm going to just right click on it and copy it. I always like to just keep the original copy in the folder. Now I've got a shortcut over here to my mods folder, so I'm just going to click on that. Now if you're like me and you are a downloadaholic and download gazillions and gazillions of mods from the Sims Resource or Mod the Sims or whatever, I find it's best to create folders for every different category there is. And as you can see, I've got just a few there, and then under clothing I've got more folders. Now to do that, because if you don't do this, the base game will not pick it up if you've created those subfolders. You need to open up your Resource.cfg and add these lines here. I'll put this in the description. I'll put my Resource.cfg in the description below, so you can just copy and paste it into yours. But if you do change your Resource.cfg using Notepad, please make a backup first. It is always best before you go changing anything to make a backup. So right, I've got my own mods folder right here, so I'm just going to drop it in there. As you can see, I've got quite a few mods that I've made, so that's fine. I'm just going to close that down, and I'll be back when I've started up the Sims and we can see what it looks like. Okay, welcome back. Here we are in the Sims. Let's have a look at this shirt that we just made in the Sims 4 Studio. So I'm just going to open up, and look, there it is straight away. It is there. Let's put it on and let's have a look what it looks like. I'm quite happy with that. So just making simple clothing mods like this, it is that easy with Sims 4 Studio, sorry. Well, it does look a little bit lopsided for some reason, but anyway, now you know how it's done. Enjoy. Download the Sims 4 Studio and start making some clothing, guys, because we need clothing, more and more clothing. If you're good enough and you're into 3D modeling, Sims 4 Studio also uses Blender. If you start using the Create a Mesh, and there are plenty of tutorials on the Sims 4 Studio website covering it, then yeah, please make shoes and hair and whatever, custom meshes. Anyway, that covers that for today, and thank you for joining, thank you for listening, and I hope to see you guys making some mods. See you again soon. This is The Sims Tonight, signing off.